Folks, I am beyond excited about tonight's episode. I got two really good buddies of mine, one being the first ever two-time guest on here, and a guy I've been waiting to get on here. Good friend of mine, good friend of half the people listening to this. Andy Ruther will be on from Dirty Sports. And I got my buddy, Aaron Smith, good friend of mine for over 20 years now, Cincinnati guy, executive producer at Bearcat Journal, and a podcast, George in the Jungle, with Cincinnati legend George Vogel. So I'm going to send them the link right now, and we'll be right back. And we're back. And as promised, Andy Ruther, the first second-time guest on Justin in the Jungle. And making his debut tonight, my good old pal, Aaron Smith. Thanks for joining me, fellas.
For sure, man.
Good. Yeah, good to be back. Thank you.
Yeah. So usually how the pod works is we're excited about the game, which would be Monday, and on the Thursday episode, I'll bring in a fan from the opposite team base. But I don't know. It's just not the pod's it's not as exciting as it was a few weeks ago. So tonight I was like, you know what? I just want to talk to some Andy, kind of Bengals fan. Aaron, for sure, Bengals fan. Aaron is Andy before Andy went to the playoff game in Cincinnati. That's the perfect comparison. Andy, tell Aaron what happened. And this was Andy's downfall with the Bengal fandom. So go ahead.
My breaking point, Aaron, was 2014 January 2014. Chargers, Bengals, Andy Dalton, I believe. Was it 3 or 4 turnovers? And
something like that.
And it was a game. I was there. I was living in LA at the time, but I was in Cincinnati for that. It was just, that was my breaking point. It was like, this guy isn't going to be the guy, and they're going to give him the money, and they did. And I just was like, I'm done with this shit. and basically, I was like, whenever LA gets a team, I'll start rooting for them. Which is weird as like a adult. And I went to a bunch of Rams games, like a bunch, when they came, and that's kind of like, ever since then, everyone's like, well, who are you rooting for? It's just, I reached my point. And to me, it was always about the Brown family, and that's still never changed, even with this new era of Joe Burrow. It's just like, my point to everybody is, nothing's really like, people are like, oh, we have the Ring of Honor now, we have this, and I'm like, but a lot really hasn't changed when it talks about makeup of the team, which is pretty
that's the most
sad.
important thing. Yeah, that's the most important thing. I mean, you have a team right now that if they had a viable backup quarterback, the season wouldn't be over. The Browns have lost their starting quarterback. They're on their 4th quarterback this season. This week, when Joe Flacco starts, it'll be their 4th quarterback this season. They lost Nick Chubb, and they're still finding ways to win games.
Yeah.
Yet Joe goes down, and this whole season is done.
Well, and that's the thing that, like, so I love the NFL in general. Like, I can watch any game. And I was saying on my podcast, and I've said this to Justin, I was like, what's scary for a team like the Bengals, and you nailed it, when Burrow, the entire identity is Joe Burrow.
Correct.
Which Burrow's the savior. Like, he's done things I never thought I would see in my lifetime under, again, a Brown family owned Bengals team. But it's scary because, like you just said, the Browns are on their 4th quarterback. They have an identity. Defense, run the ball. Steelers, defense, run the ball, traditionally. Same for the Ravens. It's like, when your identity is one player, it does not bode long-term success.
No, I'd certainly agree with that, especially looking around the AFC North and all of that, as you alluded to. I mean, they find ways. The Steelers are dog water. They're absolute dog water this
They're
year.
terrible, right?
And they still fucking win. Like, they're still figuring out ways to win. It's maddening as a Bengals fan when Joe goes down and everything's over. It's equally maddening that you brought up that Joe is this entire identity of this team. I feel like they're not even scheming properly. I don't know that Zach Taylor is calling plays well. If you go back and look at the route tree for Jamar Chase in the first couple games of the season, he did nothing over the middle at all. Everything was just up and down the sidelines. What the hell are you doing with a generational talent? You're just running him 9 routes up and down the sidelines, go routes up and down the side. Like, figure it out. You look at Tyreek Hill's route tree in the entire season. He's all over the place. This is why he scored. That's why he's leading the league in yardage. Like, this is the difference, though, between somebody who's competent in calling plays and Zach Taylor.
So I agree. I think he's next, like, and this is not a knock on him as a person, but I think he's like next level bottom barrel of the NFL as far as calling plays.
Agreed.
Like I think I think people don't realize in a way it's fascinating. Like, I was trying to think about this today. I'm fascinated because the Taylor defenders will say Super Bowl and AFC Championship game back to back, which is a fair point. But in our history of watching this game, right, I've never seen a coach who after 5 years has those on his resume, but also a losing record after 5 years, and also 4-20 now, I believe, when Burrow's not playing. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like
28.
What is he?
I think it's 4-28.
Is that what he is?
I believe so.
Yeah. So it's like this. He's like this weird outlier. And my thing is I was telling Justin, you'll see Bengals fans that will defend him and they'll say he brings this, like, the culture thing, and I laugh at it. I'm like, no, Joe Burrow is the culture. It's look, Zach Taylor bringing a football to a bar is not the culture, because we're seeing it. If he had the culture, if he was the Mike Tomlin or some of these other coaches, they'd still play well on defense when the stud quarterback went down. I knew against the Steelers, I was like, they gave up a big play. What was the first play of the game? Right? They gave up like a 20-yard pass. I was like, this does not bode well for this game. It's like the team is like, oh, Joe's not here. Can't play.
Yeah, and poor Jake Browning. He tried to talk himself up all week long. He might have been the only one talking himself up all week long, but damn it, he was going to try and talk himself up all week long. And that poor guy.
But I love the new narrative, like I'm seeing now on. I hate Bengal Twitter. I've talked to both of you about it this week how much I hate Bengal Twitter now. But now everyone's on board. Like, we just got to get AJ McCarron in there. Did you see him in the XFL? It's like, are you shut the fuck up about the XFL? Like, AJ McCarron's not an upgrade. I don't think so. I mean, I think he's a fan favorite, but how's that working for Zach Taylor? Like, you can be a fan favorite and still not be the answer. And I don't think McCarron is. But I want to swing it back real quick. Andy sent me a stat, and Aaron, as you can see, diehard University of Cincinnati football fan. And I was going to share with the fantasy group, Aaron, but I didn't. Andy, tell them about that stat you sent me.
So the last full-time offensive coordinator position that Taylor had was with your Bearcats, right, in 2016.
It was.
I believe. Let's see if I remember the stat I sent you, Justin. I believe UC, out of 128 FBS schools, their points per game was 120th.
Yeah, it was real bad when he was here. That was Tommy Tuberville era.
Yeah, Tommy Tuberville era. So I'm just laughing. I'm like, wait. So the last time he was calling plays before he became the head coach, he was the bottom 10 of almost 130 schools. Like this is his resume. And again, I know people are like, dude, you're just being a dick to this guy. I'm just not. Like, he doesn't have a resume. Like, I'm just gonna say it. I've said this before on my podcast. No other team would have hired him, guys. No other team. He was the quarterback's coach under, and this is when I'm going to Rams games. I didn't even know who he was. He was the quarterback's coach under Sean McVay on that Rams team that lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But I always joked the quarterback's coach was basically also Sean McVay because he had to coddle Jared Goff. So my point is, like, the Bengals get one with the cheap route because that's classic, Mike Brown and what they do. And again, it lucked out because you suck, and then you luck into Joe Burrow. But like, nobody would have hired him. And again, he has no resume. I'm not trying to be a dick. It's like, what? This is what he is. Like, Joe has masked that. A good defense, under Lou. Now they're having a rough year, but I just think it's funny to me when people try to defend it. I'm just like, guys, this is what it is. But here's one more stat, which I think I told you, Justin, which is got to be terrifying if you're a Bengals fan. He's 9-19 in the division since he became the coach. 9-19. Harbaugh's not going anywhere. Tomlin's not going anywhere. If you can't beat these guys, how does this bode for the future? I don't know.
I don't understand why he has issues calling plays, considering he doesn't run the ball at all. So we're not even practicing those plays at this point. I feel like he's on that Ask Madden mode, right? Where he's just Ask Madden. Oh, running play? No, we're not doing that. And just finding a pass play. Like, what are you doing? And Joe Mixon might be running the best he's run in the last, 3-4 years this season. And he's just said, to hell with that. We're not going to run the ball. Even last week, when you have Jake Browning out there, you're not running the ball. Why are we not running the ball when you have your backup quarterback in? And again, you're just trying to get yardage at all. Yeah. And the poor guy's back there. Yoshi's out, bomb, ready for a bomb touchdown, and Browning doesn't see him. Of course he doesn't see him. He's running for his life. He doesn't know what he's doing back there. He's scared. He should be. But we're not running the ball. And I don't know. The whole thing blows my mind, just the way that he's been calling the shots. And to your point with these stats, I'm terrified every time we play a division foe. Every single time we play a division foe. I don't know when the last time was that they had a winning record against the division off the top of my head. But I'm with you. It does not bode well for your future under Zach Taylor, especially if he remains play caller, which –
well, he will.
Those days are numbered.
I made the joke on the last episode that Jason Pierre-Paul can count on two hands how many times Joe Mixon ran the ball last game.
Too soon.
That was a good one. Come on, I was so proud of that joke, but it's sad but true.
Justin, I want to ask Aaron kind of what I told you, and again, I find it funny when people talk about like the culture, which is to me next level insane. So I had a take, and I wonder if you'll agree with me on this one, Aaron. I said, when they bring up culture, I'd argue Marvin Lewis, we all know his faults, but when he came to the Bengals, right, they hadn't had a winning season above 500 in I forget how many years, 15 years, whatever it was.
Bruce Coslett, Dave Shula years.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
I said I'd argue he brought with him that pedigree of he was the defensive coordinator and arguably a top 3 defense of all time, that Ravens team. I'd make the argument Marvin actually brought more of a culture change. Now, again, he didn't take them to the level they needed to go, but he took them from, hey, everybody's laughing at them to, hey, they make the playoffs a lot. I'd argue Marvin did more for the culture than Taylor as far as a coach, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And I would agree with the problem that the Bengals organization has is similar to a problem that we've seen right down the road at the Red Stadium, and just that these teams tend to keep people in the organization past the expiration date.
Yeah.
If you want to build a winning culture, you have to be okay with letting somebody go when they can't get over a certain threshold, right? So if you are making the playoffs year after year after year, how long do you stick with somebody hoping that, well, maybe we'll get a win one day, or maybe we'll get to the Super Bowl one day? So, and like I said, the Reds did the same thing with guys like Brandon Phillips, guys like, I mean, we could do this all day, but I feel like with Marvin Lewis, they stuck with him entirely too long. And if you wanted to, I agree with you as far as changing the culture. He did those things. Absolutely. There were still some issues that needed to be resolved. And we've heard some of the stories come out about whether you were not allowed to take Gatorade home because, God forbid, we let a guy take an extra Gatorade, or whatever the used jock straps story was that I
Hushmanzada, yeah.
Yeah. So I can't imagine they're doing anything remotely close to that anymore. We'd have heard of it by now. But yeah, the culture certainly changed under Marvin Lewis. But again, you have to, if you want to win, if you want to continue to build culture, you can use the things that were established by Marvin Lewis and bring somebody else in to continue moving upward in the right direction, and still attribute that to what Marvin Lewis established. I'm with you, though, as far as Zach Taylor. I'm not sure what culture he's established. He had a perfect balance in the Super Bowl year of veterans and young guys. When you have guys in there like Avon Bell, who sets a tone, I mean, he pretty much will be a legend in Bengal lore for that hit on Juju Smith-Schuster forever and ever. And Justin, of course, as a Buckeyes fan, was salivating watching the replay of that over and over and over again.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm with you. Just because you did good PR moves, I'm not sure as far as going with the game balls to different bars around the city and what have you. I'm just not sure what else you've done culture-wise other than winning. And that goes back to your point, Andy, which was that that's Joe's fault, not necessarily Zach's.
Yeah, I've made the point recently. I think Burrow's, maybe we'll see it differently now as the season plays out. I think he's underappreciated in Cincinnati. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm a firm believer that a guy of his moxie, of his just demeanor, people feed off that. I believe, I'm an energy person. I think when Tom Brady is on your team, your defense is feeding off that, right?
Right.
When Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback, when Joe Burrow is your quarterback, I really do. I think guys feed off that, and I think you can't underestimate that. As far as let me put it this way, and I'm sure you guys are going to agree with me. There's only two quarterbacks, to be honest, when I watch NFL games, that to me are never out of it, and it's Mahomes and Burrow.
Right.
Right. Like those are the only two guys who I'm like, I don't care the deficit. They've already shown they can be down this many points in the playoffs and win. And I think that, again, that is the culture, right? Like, I don't know. It sucks because if Marvin stuck around for that many years without winning a playoff game and the success they've had under Taylor, it's like,
man,
like, what do you do? Like, if, as a Bengals fan, like, what do you guys think? Like, what goes through your head?
Taylor's going to look like Joe Biden when he finally has to leave. He's not going anywhere.
So what's your hope? Like, what's your deep down optimistic hope that he just finally stops calling plays then?
That absolutely. I don't have
where it starts. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if he could bring in a play caller, not just a buddy of his, like that would be a good start. But I don't know. I think a lot of stuff's going to be exposed over these next few weeks with Burrow out, just at how absolutely terrible he is at play calling. Like I noticed it in me and Aaron's fantasy football group because I used to like complain about his play calling. And the big thing that I'd always get from a couple of the guys in there is like, I can tell you never played football because you don't think Zach Kelly's a good play caller. I was like, that has absolutely nothing to do with it. That's like me being a veteran saying, I bet you guys aren't any good you guys can't be any good at Call of Duty because you never served. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the same, like, don't give me that, like, oh, you didn't play, so you don't know. But I noticed our group this week, it went from everyone like, no, he's a great head coach to, oh, yeah, I think the players like him, but we need a new play caller. I was like, baby steps. People are seeing it now, though.
Bengals Twitter was on fire with there were a lot of people calling for Zach Taylor's job entirely. And then, of course, you had the loud super fans or people who consider themselves part of the media.
Yeah.
I mean, the cosplay people.
your words, not mine.
No, they're my like, dude, don't even get me started. Like,
Yeah, we talk. Go
I've
ahead.
complained on my show about cosplay in general across the NFL. I'm just like, dude, just because you combined a character from your, favorite TV show, like, you don't know shit about football. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying I'm an expert, but like, I'm sure you're probably figuring out, like, I come with facts, and that's what I try to do for most of this stuff. And that's another, just there's just too many knocks on Taylor. It's like, Justin, I mean, how blown away were you when I told you under and let's use,
Yeah.
like, mostly when they're healthy, with Burrow, Boyd, Higgins, and Chase, the Bengals have never, let's take the two good years, 21 and 22. They were never top 5 points per game in the NFL. How with that cast? I'm not saying top 3. You're not even top 5 points per game with arguably the best wide receiver trio and Joe Burrow. That's on the guy calling the plays. End of story.
Well, kind of going back to my point about running the ball, you have a quarterback who, at this point, I think it's safe to say he's averse to injury. Like, he gets injured.
Yeah.
You know that, and you've had an offensive line that has struggled at times this season, and that's whether it be cohesiveness, whether it be that maybe Cordell Volson's not the guy, maybe it's Orlando Brown still getting accustomed to this system, maybe it's Alex Kappa's best years are behind him. I'm not really sure what the hell's going on with this offensive line, but that all said, why would you throw Joe Burrow in the pocket 50 times, 40 times a game instead of running the fucking ball with Joe Mixon? Again, I feel like at times he's looked like he's been shot out of a cannon this year. It's crazy to me that he took this reestablished contract to free up some money and add another year onto his contract, but he's running better than what I've seen just on the eye test, better than what I've seen the last several seasons. And I don't know why you would put Joe in harm's way when it's not like you have a shit running system. This is the guy that you've gone with, and you refuse to give the ball to pretty much anybody else at this point. You've had Captain America back there as his backup for several seasons, and they just refuse. I don't know if it's a Michigan thing. I don't know what is going on with Chris Evans, but they just refuse to let him touch the ball. We keep him on the roster. Don't know why, but they will not let him touch the ball. Travion Williams has passed him up in the pecking order. Again, fine, but I don't know why we have any. Why are we throwing 4 running backs at times on this roster? Chase Brown, I think, is on the roster now. He's back from IR. So you have four guys on the roster, on the active roster, and you don't run the ball. Why? Why do you have 4 guys at that position? Unless it's for special teams. I don't know who's running special teams. I would readily admit that. But whatever is the reasoning, I don't understand it.
Last week when I put my parlay in, it was Mixon over 16.5 carries. And I was like, this is easy money. There's no way in hell that he's not going to get at least 17 carries on Browning's first game, AFC North game.
Should have.
Yeah, he didn't even get half of that. No. Like, that's insane to me.
Well, see, people will counter, and they were only averaging, like, I think, a couple yards a run. But people don't realize also running. If you look at someone like a Derrick Henry, sometimes you gotta the breakout might not happen to the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
you do have to run the ball, and that is interesting. All those backs that you bring up, Brown was perfectly healthy that game. Like he was back on the roster. I do wonder, like, you saw it last year, like the Samaje Perine,
Yeah.
he because he's a great blocking back, he's great out of the backfield on third down to catch the ball. It's like that was one of those, man, he's not even that high of a money guy as far as letting him go. I don't know.
Yeah. We talked about, and you sent me two screenshots this Sunday of they're like key players of the game, and one was P. Ryan, and the other one was Jesse Bates.
Yeah.
Like they were both key players of their games that they're, and I thought that was weird. And I also was a huge advocate with you on when the trade deadline was coming up. Like, why not go get Hayden again? Like, he would have been perfect to bring back. Like, we're going to get a good pick in the draft this year, obviously. And my question to you guys is, you have to go line, right? Or are they going to go for tight end?
I think it depends where they end up in. We don't know where they're going to end up. If they don't win another game, they probably end up somewhere in that 5 to 8 pick 5 to 8, somewhere in there, 5 to 9.
Right.
Which at that point you're probably getting the best, if not the second best lineman. I think this entire. I don't care if the tight end from Georgia is generational. If Zach Taylor is still calling the plays, he doesn't know how to use a tight end. He's never used a tight end before.
Yeah.
So why would you draft a tight end?
Right.
Also, tight end isn't necessary unless if he's running routes, he's not really going to be back there blocking for the biggest investment on your team. So no, I don't want them to spend a top 10 pick on a tight end. I'd much rather be offensive line.
So I got two questions for you guys related to that. One, when was the last time the Bengals drafted well at the O-line position? Is it Willie Anderson?
You could make an argument on Cordell Volson.
Okay.
With as late as he was in the draft and the fact that he's a second-year starter, his PFF grades have not been great this season. They weren't great last season, but he's been improving.
And my second part, and I know obviously he's been amazing and he's part of that Super Bowl run. Is it time though, with Joe being hurt again, is it time to bring up, should they have drafted Sewell instead of Chase? Sewell hasn't given up a sack in over a year. He's the number one rated right tackle, the number one rated PFF right tackle, I believe, right now.
Here's my thing with that question. I could say yes this season, but Chase was a huge part of that reason we got to the Super Bowl. So
for sure,
I can't sit here and say I can't rotate my answer every year, because last year I'd be like, you're insane if you think that they should have drafted Sewell. This year,
Sewell doesn't get you to the Super Bowl for sure.
This year I'm like, Sewell would be great to have on the team, but everything Jamar gave us in the Super Bowl run and even last year, it's a big shoulda, woulda, coulda.
No, it is. I ask it and I'm not saying they should have. I think it's an interesting discussion, but it also goes to Aaron's point of the Taylor doesn't know how to utilize Chase to his full potential. It's like he doesn't know how to utilize these worldly skilled players.
Well, I would also bring up the fact that the drop off from Sewell to Jonah Williams is probably not as big as the drop off from Jamar Chase to fill in what receiver would be there. I think that drop off would be significant, much bigger than what Jonah Williams has been giving you at right tackle by comparison.
Right. I do remember the year of that draft. I was Team Sewell. I was like, they better not take Jamar. They better not take Jamar. Aaron stuck to his guns. He's like, you guys are all dumb if you don't want Jamar Chase on this team. I don't think dumb was the word he used, but I'm not trying to get canceled. But if you don't want, but Aaron called that from the get-go. He was like, guys, this guy's special. And then I remember I was like, there's no way he's going to the Bengals. And he showed up to the draft in like Bengal color shoes. I'm like, we're taking Jamar Chase this draft. So, yeah, sure, this year I would love to have a lineman that hasn't given up a sack, but Jamar's done a lot, so I can't. I don't know. I'm going to be, I mean, you guys know me and my fanboydom. I'm going to be hurting next year because I just don't see how T. Higgins comes back as much as, like, I want him to. Like,
if this organization had shown that they know anything about just playing the roster construction game and reconfiguring contracts and moving money around and doing different things, then I would have a little bit more confidence. But when you have guys like T. Higgins, who else is coming up? DJ Reader, and you certainly can't afford both of those guys with Joe's new contract and Jamar right around the corner. I'm with you. I don't think that they're simply capable of playing the shell game with money on the roster as some of these other teams around the league do.
right. And I also, like, I think I told Andy recently, I have really bad Zimmer vibes, like losing Lou after this season. I would give anything to like keep him as head coach, but I think he's as good as gone too. And I mean, I love what Burrow said about the window is however long I'm here. But damn, man, we're losing some people next year.
Yeah, but like the D, I mean, look, the D has struggled this year. So who knows? Like we, everybody assumed, oh, he's going to get a head coaching position. I think it's actually gone the opposite way now. At this point. But like I was one of the people who was vocal. They should have traded Higgins, in my opinion, at the draft when his stock was the highest because you get a first rounder for him. And to me, Joe Burrow is a special quarterback who makes nobody somebody's.
Yeah,
And there's only a small percentage of QBs who can do that. Um, you got to protect the guy. To me, like that, right? That's get the O line figured out, and they're swinging and missing lately. They got to hit on some guys.
I think I saw somewhere that T. Higgins has only played 68% of the games that he's been in Cincinnati. It might be less than that.
That's nuts.
That's a crazy statistic. I did see today, I got an alert that he is planning on playing against the Jags. So great to have him back, but you still got Jake Browning back there, and that does nothing for me.
You guys think they can cover at -8?
No. Give it. You could have said -15.
Wow, you're not even hesitating.
No shot. This team is done.
Wow. See. Okay, so when Burrow went down, they're 5-5. I said I think they get 3 more wins. Am I crazy for that?
Yes.
My God.
This is the guy who's like basically a lot of times fuck the Bengals, and not even fuck the Bengals.
I watched a defense give up on the field that game. That's gave
how I
up.
Felt. I agree.
And I can't believe that a team like that's giving up mid-game when your you don't even know what's going on with your quarterback at that point. He didn't know. He walked out with T. Higgins. I think we all saw the video where he's walking out of the locker room telling T, like, I think it's broke. But yeah, the whole team gave up when Joe goes out. That does nothing for me as a fan to make me believe that they're going to win any more games. I don't know if they're going to win any more halves of a game.
Is Burrow more important than any other athlete in Cincinnati sports history?
For sure.
That's a great question.
I can't answer for the Reds or UC, but I'd say definitely in Bengals history.
I will say he is to the Bengals what Kenyon Martin was for that championship team, because there were a lot of good pieces around him, around Kenyon Martin when he went down.
They were the favorites.
And I don't know that there's a better correlation that I could make between any other team locally.
Yeah, no, I because I think that is it's a debate I've seen going on. Like, what was the biggest injury? Was it to Kenyon Martin against sadly that's my alma mater, St. Louis University, or
Ugh.
I know I wasn't there yet, but I know. Although, see, I'm a Xavier guy, so I hate to say it.
Ugh.
I know
Yeah.
my dad went to Xavier, so I grew up going to Xavier games.
Fair enough. My dad went to UC, so
Yeah, yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. What I found interesting, so I moved back like 3 years ago after being on the West Coast for about 15 years. So like Aaron, I always root for UC when they're not playing Xavier. And my buddy is a big UC guy, football, basketball. I'll go to UC football games with him too. But my buddy won't. It's so funny. Like, my buddy is diehard UC. He wants Xavier to lose every game. And I'm always like, I find that fascinating. I root for UC. He's like, well, that's good for you. I hate Xavier. And I'm just like, okay, cool.
I want Xavier to win every game up until the crosstown shootout. So should Cincinnati beat them, it looks like that much better of a win.
Yeah.
But after that, I mean, I don't scoreboard watch for Xavier. I don't care. I know they lost the other day because people were talking about it on my timeline, but I wasn't like looking up the score to see if Xavier wins or I don't know when they play, much less if they win or lose.
Yeah. What do you make? So obviously you got all the UC stuff.
Mhm.
I'm curious. I mean, I don't know if you saw this, like they're selling Kelsey jerseys down on campus again at UC. Like, they're really leaning into the Kelsey thing going on. What do you think of that?
He is going to go down as maybe the best tight end ever when he hangs it up.
Yeah.
Jason Kelsey's going to go down as maybe the best center ever when he hangs it up. For those two guys to come through as they did, one, Jason Kelsey being a 0-star recruit, Travis Kelsey coming through as a 2-star quarterback, Jason coming through as a linebacker, and neither of them even panning out in those positions. No, they're going to go down and people are going to write songs about these dudes and sing them to their children as they put them to bed.
So how does it feel when we play Kansas City in those, like last year in the AFC Championship? Like, does your love for Kelsey get put on hold that game, or are you kind of like, it's kind of cool seeing him?
I like Kelsey. I like what he's done, but he's a Chief, and that's ops.
Love it. Love it. That's how
Brian,
everyone. Go
I
ahead.
probably like Brian Cook better than Kelsey, and I think that's because he's not dating Taylor Swift. But
But it was funny against the Texans. People are like, but that's got to be so cool finally seeing an Ohio State quarterback play that great. I was like, absolutely not. Like, that had nothing to do with Ohio State anymore. He's the Texans quarterback. Like,
right.
Every other game, I'll be like, hey, that's cool. I enjoy finally seeing this curse broke for a season, but not against my team. Like,
even if I had Kelsey on a fantasy football team, I would not be happy if he performed well against the Bengals. No, that's why I will not draft a Steeler ever. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
I get it.
So, Justin, you normally will have an opposing team fan who the Bengals are playing, right?
Yeah, if I can find one.
I was going to say, like, what do Jags fans exist?
You know who's actually a Jags fan? Jonas Never, the big muralist out here.
I thought you were going to say
the one that painted LeBron and all those.
Yeah,
huge Jags fan. Yeah,
I thought you were going to come through in the clutch and get the guy from what is it, The Good Place? Did you ever watch that show, The Good Place?
No.
with Kristen Bell, one of the guys who's stuck in purgatory is a Jags fan.
Really? Yeah, I didn't know they.
Yeah, he talked about Blake Bortles the entire series.
That's hilarious.
Even on the recap episode earlier this week, I was like, yeah, I'm going to try and find it. There's no such thing as a Jags fan. Like, I'm not going to find it. It was like trying to find a Texans fan. They don't exist. So I just Now, I've enjoyed this episode more than I thought I'd enjoy any more episode after. Like this injury made me realize how hard it would have been in the 90s to have had a Bengals podcast.
No one would have listened. No, How good do mics work when you're wearing a paper bag?
Yeah.
God, they were. I mean, the 90s. That was such a brutal era.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, it's like, it all comes from the top, man. It's you know what I want to bring up for you guys, something that I was just thinking about the other night again, because I've mentioned this many times, but something that just like I want to know the answer. I want to know the answer, like the why. Why have they not put up a statue of Anthony Munoz? Well, like where is the dedication to the greats? Like they finally did the Ring of Honor, about damn time. But like Anthony Munoz is regarded by most people as the greatest offensive lineman of all time. Why does he not have a statue outside of Paycor Stadium?
It took him a long time to get a foam chair for the ruler of the jungle. What makes you think they're going to pay somebody to make a Munoz likeness? They're just waiting for him to move on with his life, die, and they're actually going to concrete his body. And that's going to be what they use. It's way cheaper that way. You don't have to pay anybody except for the body, which nobody wants it at that point. They're just going to bury it. So this will forever enshrine him.
Oh, that's too funny and probably very accurate.
There will be, mark my words, a Mike Brown statue in front of Paycor Stadium before an Anthony Munoz statue.
Do you think they're the only NFL team without a statue of a player?
No, I don't know that you have a Jags statue anyway. Fred Taylor?
I was just thinking, did the Jags have one?
And then I think they got rid of the Panthers statue that had like the guy walking the Panthers, the old owner walking the Panthers with the giant Panther balls.
But I think they have the Sam Mills. Did he play in the Panthers? I always forget. Or was that Saints?
I don't know. Where'd Ray Cruz play? Did you see the statue? Isn't he a... Was he a Jaguar?
Oh, Ray. Oh, Ray.
Statues of him hiding in that trunk where they found him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I know. It's just crazy to me. You know what my favorite thing, Aaron, is we talk about like Bengals Twitter. Justin was talking about it. My favorite is when people defend. Like, I don't defend any of the NFL owners. I think they're all probably pieces of shit when it comes down to it. But my favorite is when people defend these things that the Brown family. You're like, why are you like? No, dude, they are cheap. Like, this isn't really up for debate. Like, just because you're a super fan and you know you dress as a tiger or whatever, and they welcome you in, like they're not a good family as far as running the business of winning football. It's crazy to me when people defend it.
No, they're in the business of running to the bank.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We all know it. It's not. I'm not breaking any news here.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. I mean, are they doing things that they pretty much had to do if you want to sign anybody, like an indoor practice facility in cold ass Ohio? Yeah, you had to do that. You were using a stank ass bubble at UC that UC even got rid of. They are getting an indoor practice facility as we speak, an actual building at UC.
What is the hang up on that? I mean, again, they're that cheap.
Do you have any evidence to point the other direction?
No, I don't. But it's like you guys. I'm sure you guys watch. Like when I watch Hard Knocks, my first thought always is, the Bengals have nothing like this. Like when they show any team, they're just like, Bengals
Yeah.
have nothing like this.
Well, and the crazy thing is, I mean, I got to thinking about this because, it's Pat McAfee's thing where I think he still is making fun of the Bengals, even though they at least have a bubble now.
Sure.
Yeah.
But he still likes to clown them for it. But Pittsburgh, and granted that the Panthers use the actual Heinz Field or whatever the hell, I think it's like I don't know what the new name of the stadium is in Pittsburgh, but it's shared by Pitt and by the Steelers. So they have a shared indoor practice facility. Well, UC is 5-7 minutes from downtown, not far. Granted, you have to go up a hill, which if the weather's bad enough that you have to be in a practice facility, then yeah, you may need to make a journey 7 minutes away into Clifton. That's not ideal. But if the Bengals really wanted to have a facility, they could have gone halvesies or whatever the hell you wanted to do with UC. Maybe UC didn't want it. Maybe they did. I don't know.
Was
But
it
at
the
least-
Super Bowl year when we got stuck in snow?
Yeah,
Jesus
stuck in the
Christ.
snow going to UC. I mean, you can't make this shit up. It's out of the movie Major League.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know but yeah, I'm with you. None of this makes any sense. You're a billion-dollar organization. You're selling more merch at this point in time than you've ever sold. You're getting free money with these PSLs that you sell every year, which how that's even a legal thing is beyond me. To sell these personal seat licenses, that's outrageous.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I just think they're that cheap that they just will probably not do more than the bubble, even though they claim that they're doing it. We'll see. I think they're just kicking the can down the road.
I do always wonder what the players think. And I know they got really bad scores. They do those anonymous player pools, and I know they got bad scores last year, and it rates them on like 8 different things. But you almost want to just hear Joe Burrow be like, yeah, my facilities at LSU were a million times better. Like, you just want to hear it sometime. I know they would never say it. You just want to hear it, though.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better. Just wait until UC has a better facility than the Bengals down the road, because it's coming.
So where's the head at now for you guys? Like, you guys are fucking diehard.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to lose every game for a higher pick?
I don't want to, but that loss Sunday, the losses don't hurt anymore. I'm like, okay. So I mean, if they did, I wouldn't care. But I'm not saying do it. Like, I wouldn't mind spoiling a playoff appearance for one AFC North team if we could do that.
I live in Athens, Ohio, and I left at halftime after spending the Thanksgiving weekend in Cincinnati. I left at halftime to drive home and listen to the sweet sounds of Dave Lapham and Dan Horde on the radio, as opposed to watching any more of that game, because I felt I cared about as much as the players on the field did.
Weren't they winning at halftime?
I don't know the answer to that question.
No, I think Pittsburgh was up by a field goal because I think the Bengals got the ball back at half,
which is hilarious. Like you could just tell.
Yeah,
you knew.
Yeah, the biggest plays were coming from errors, like that tip ball that Jamar got was.
He had two tip balls.
And they were winning. It was 7-3.
And then our tight ends had a head-on collision at the goal line before that touchdown. So it's definitely very, it's definitely very 90s Bengals vibes again right now. Like Klingler, Darnay Scott, Carl Pickens, James Brooks. Yeah. I got those kind of vibes right now. Like, I just
it's not that bad. Come on.
Well, I mean, yeah. But it just feels this when Burrow got hurt his rookie year, it sucked, obviously. But the fact that what we know the team's capable of with a healthy Burrow makes this one hurt so much worse.
I'd love to have a Jameis Winston, a Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, just anything back there that's not Jake Browning.
Here we go.
Jameis, interesting. You want them turnovers, Aaron.
It's better than waiting to get blown up by Watt. He just sat back there.
Yeah. What was going on there?
Several times. There was one that he scrambled out to the sideline, and a DB came and just smacked him in the mouth. Just, what are you doing? Throw the ball anywhere. Just you're out of the pocket. You can throw it anywhere, literally anywhere.
That sack that Watt had where he just came untouched, like
Dude.
what a speed. Like I was like, he's not getting up. That was the most impressive thing Browning did that game was get up after that hit.
But did you guys have like, I feel like, you know, for diehard Bengals fans, I almost feel like you're watching that game and it's like the amnesia comes back of, oh shit, this is because the Brown family didn't have a backup, which is like you're saying is the 90s. Like Joe's been this guy up here. We forgot.
Oh no, we suck again.
Yeah, I mean it is. It is. It's Rob Schneider. I mean, we suck again. It's crazy because again, Joe is that. I mean, Justin, we all know how many bets did I lose the Super Bowl run because I was hell-bent they'll never win a playoff game as long as Mike Brown's alive. And again, Joe Burrow overcame that.
Yeah.
And I think now the next obstacle might be the Zach Taylor thing.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, I don't know what those guys actually think of him. It might be good for the Bengals if at some point Joe Burrow had a little beef with him or something, because Burrow's going to win that battle.
Yeah. But Burrow just seems like too cool of a guy to like do something like that. And I wish he would. Like, I'm with you. Like, whatever gets him out. But it's just like how I think I talked with Andy about this. Like, the Irv Smith Jr. fumble. Like, Joe heard everyone calling for his job. And there's a reason that Irv Smith scored the first touchdown the very next week of that game. Like, when Joe hears people talking shit, and he probably hears it now about Zach Taylor, like, he does the opposite. Like, he tries to play like, hey, I got this. Like, just, I got you. So, I don't know. I just really feel like I'm in a therapy session right now with Aaron, and Andy's our therapist. For like, we're just getting it off our chest tonight.
I just want to say that the most disappointing news I got today was that the very first Monday Night Football game was flexed out, and it wasn't this game.
Yeah. I told Andy, I was like, just don't bring the white jerseys out. Put them away for next season. Like, those are like always like a fun night when they wear them. Like, everyone gets excited. This one, we're like,
they never lost in them.
Yeah, so don't get them out. You don't need them. Like,
I have to admit though, I am enjoying like I said, the little civil war I'm seeing with Bengals fans on social media about Zach Taylor.
For sure, we got it going on in our fantasy football group.
I'm team fire Zach.
Yeah. So you think he should be fired?
I mean, at the very least, fired his play caller. But
for sure,
if you cannot figure out how to win the rest of the season, then you don't have a culture. You lost the locker room. So you can defend him all you want for establishing a culture, but that culture went to shit the moment that there was no more.
Exactly. That you're right. That's been my point all along. Dude, you don't have a culture when you lose one player. There's 22 guys on the field.
Correct.
And I know that
figure
one
out a
player
way to win.
Yeah, exactly. I know that one player is so important, but we're seeing how many teams this year are still winning or in playoff contention with second, third stringers.
How important was Nick Chubb to the Browns? He's their offense. He was the offense, and they figured it out. Jerome Ford, UC boy, doing just fine.
Yeah, it really is crazy. Like I was looking today out of curiosity. I mean, we all know Tomlin's never had a losing season, right? This is his 17th season. Harbaugh's had 2 losing seasons. It's his 16th season. And again, you're like, these are 2 of the 3 coaches Taylor has to face 4 times a year. How's this going to?
The Ravens won without Lamar last year. They figured out how to win games.
And the truth is, I was at the playoff game. The Ravens, that obviously Hubbard makes that just absolutely amazing play. That play doesn't happen. They lose to Snoop Huntley. I just like saying that, by the way. Snoop Huntley.
Yeah.
Not mad at it.
I like it.
Yeah, they replaced running back 1 with running back 2. Well done. You did it.
Yep.
I think that something big needs to happen though for like I said, whether it's a Joe Burrow, like I don't want to sky with my coach, or I mean, even if they lost the rest of their games, no way Taylor gets fired.
No, not at all.
I don't know.
Taylor has a 70-year contract still in play.
Or, like I said, something big. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. Mike Brown needs to die. I'm not wishing death on anybody, but I'm saying as far as change.
But you're not wishing death.
Yeah. I don't know if his daughter would be any different, if Katie Blackburn would be any different. Which, by the way, I have to make a quick dig. I always love saying this, dude. People act. It's so funny. People were like, the Bengals social media is so good. Oh my God, those Blackburn girls are doing so good. I'm like, dude, it's NFL Twitter and NFL Instagram. It's not rocket science. Like, you have a fan base. You put out cool clips and people like it. Like, people always. I don't know if it's just me.
Kim
like,
Kardashian made a career of it.
Yeah, people are always like, oh my God, those girls have done such a good job with the Bengals. So I'm like, the Bengals are winning. They have one of the top quarterbacks. That's what it is. That's what it is.
And they dry snitched on them. They dry snitched on Burrow. What's
going on with that, by the way?
It doesn't look good when you take that post down right away. Like, there for a while, I sent you the thing on Amazon, what everyone said it was, that little help you draw.
iPad glove.
Yeah. But then they take it down right away. It's like, come on.
Is the NFL still investigating that?
Yes. The investigation is not closed yet.
So what happened? I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Lose a first-round draft pick.
Oh, that'd be bad.
Yep.
That would be awful.
What do you think Mike Brown would prefer? Money or first-round pick? For 100% first-round pick, right?
Well, if he loses the first-round pick, he doesn't have to give somebody first-round pick money. So it's kind of a win-win for Mike Brown.
True. That's a good point.
Oh, man. We just sound like, me and Aaron just sound like abused husbands tonight. It's like
jaded as fuck.
We still love you, but hey, we're hurting right now.
Well, see, that was my thing. That's why, people were like, "Oh, you laughed," and I'm just like, I couldn't emotionally do it anymore.
Yeah,
and like, I'll never be fully vested.
But you also, Aaron, what Andy didn't tell you about after that playoff game he went to, he's walking home, walking to his car, whatever, taxi, whatever. He's bummed out because that was a playoff game we were supposed to win. Like, we beat them earlier that season.
We were supposed to win the Jets the year before that. I mean, I was at that game.
But what Andy sees on his walk home, he walks by a bar and there's.
No, I went in the bar.
Yeah. Finish it. I'm not. Tell your story.
No, just what really depressed me, because this was like a thing my brother and I did together, because we were at the game, and what depressed us both, we kind of made this decision together. We were in the bar. I forget the name of the bar across from the stadium, but this is before the Banks. But anyway, the music's playing, the bar's packed, everybody's singing and dancing, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Lost.
Yeah, we just lost, and not to mention they had just beat San Diego a few weeks earlier in California. Like, they were the big time favorites. This is a 35-degree, rainy, shitty January. Everything good for an AFC North team, against the SoCal team. Everything's in our favor, and everybody's happy. And that's kind of what put me over the edge. I'm like, you guys just accept losing, and that's not how I am. Like, I want a team.
How do you not back that ass up when you hear Cash Money Records is taking over for the 99 and the 2000?
I mean, he has a point.
Good point. Yeah, so I mean that was kind of part of my thing, and just like, you know, but the thing also is, again, like I said, like I just love great quarterbacks, and obviously Joe is one of those guys, and I could watch great quarterback play all day, but it just sucks that he's now 14 games in 4 seasons. It's like you've almost missed a
Yeah.
full season.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I hate to, and I fucking hated it. I hate Ravens Twitter just as much. But when they were like, "Oh yeah, the running quarterback gets hurt, huh? How about your guys?" It's like, damn.
Do you guys think Lamar finishes this season?
I think so. He's not chasing a bag this year.
Yeah, I don't think they make, and I could probably eat crow, but I don't think that they make a deep playoff run.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's Kansas City again, and I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
when you say deep, like to me, if you make the AFC Championship, that's a deep playoff run.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm probably drinking some haterade on that too.
I think
But
it's Miami.
Miami.
Miami to me is not beating a single good. They're a paper tiger.
They're
Hey,
fun.
who won that Dallas game? I haven't even looked at the score yet.
From
Sorry,
last
to change
night?
the subject.
Right now. Wow, it's 28-27. Seahawks are winning.
Yeah, but no, I don't know. I just really don't like. I hate Baltimore as a Bengals fan more than I hate Michigan as a Buckeye fan.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was all the. I talked to you about it. It was all that little nonsense. I'm not saying that Bengals fans are like we're like angels and saints and shit, but all that fuck Joe Burrow chants like after he got hurt, I was just like, God.
Yeah, I was more mad when they put a statue out of a 2-time murderer of their stadium.
Yeah.
That was my issue with the Ravens.
Yeah. And
The guy who ratted out his boys, who was also involved in the murder, who they were like, hey, let's put a statue out of him.
yeah. And Bart Scott has no business being on any sports network.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So, holy shit. Very first time podcast history, broke an hour. I'm usually a 20 to 30 minute guy, but we had to talk tonight, guys.
I
We just
don't
had
believe you.
we had to talk. Like, and I said it off the top, like this was the podcast I was excited about. Like when I hit both you guys up, I was like, oh shit, this could actually be like a fun podcast. So, like I said, yeah, I felt like me and Aaron, we got a little therapy session tonight, and so we appreciate you, Andy.
Hey man, I'm look. I could talk this shit all day.
Oh, I know.
And look, again, like I said, it's never anything personal with Zach Taylor, but you just ain't NFL coach material.
Yeah, if you want to get over the hump, you got to figure out when to cut bait.
And I like
time.
Justin, I don't know if you heard what I said last week on Dirty Sports, and I stand by it, right? Because he shows up to all his kids' stuff. I've played when I was coaching my nephew the last few years. He's at most all the games, and I stand by it. Zach Taylor's he's a great dad. He's a great family guy. I don't think you can be a great dad and a great family guy and also a great NFL coach. I just don't. Like, I'm not trying to sound jaded. I just think, dude, your life has to be football. It has to be. Bill Belichick's not known to be a great family guy. Like,
there's
it's not
an
what he's known for.
Reid. There's an Andy Reid joke in there somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, you see a lot of these guys, these kids have problems, right? I mean, it's But that's my point. Like I've seen it firsthand the last 3 years. Zach Taylor's shown up to all his kids' stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, you're a good dad, but also get your ass back to the game film room. Like skip your
Yeah.
kid's 6th grade basketball game. Sorry.
Yeah. I doubt he even does shots at those bars when he goes. He probably just gets a picture and then goes straight home to his family because he's
1,000%.
yeah.
I'll take a water.
Yeah. Come on.
Got it in a bottle. I want it to go.
Yeah. So, well, all right, fellas. I'm gonna wrap this up with you guys, and I 100%. This is a good time. Thanks for being patient with me. I had to. I was telling Aaron on the bus ride home there was a meth head that got on and started screaming, and we had to wait for the bus driver to finally kick her off. So, LA's thriving, baby. We're here. I'm sure you miss it, Andy.
I do.
The food's still good though. Everything, shit on LA all you want. We got good weather and good food, so we got that going for us. But yeah, once again, thank you guys for coming on. And Aaron, where can people find you at?
You can find me at ACSmith37 on Twitter. It's the place I'm most active. And then I also at Bearcat Journal on YouTube and Twitch, where we do all of our shows there.
All right. And of course, I mean, Andy, probably 90% of the people that listen to this podcast are dirtballs. So they know where to find you. And like we say, we've been plugging. Get to New Orleans. 2 weeks tomorrow, we will be in New Orleans. Me and Andy got the bunk beds in the Airbnb, and I cannot wait. So
It's gonna be fun.
it's gonna be.
We're gonna go back to like my grade school days, and we'll play games of truth or dare late at night.
Some duck goose and shit.
Don't get COVID.
Yeah. So, all right, fellas. Thank you so much for coming on. All right.
Thanks.
Hell of an episode. Man, that felt good. Once again, I just want to thank Andy Ruther and Aaron Smith for coming on. Also, as always, our auction ends Sunday. TMNauctions.com. The Memorabilia Network. We got crazy sports and entertainment memorabilia on there. Get on there. You're finding some amazing stuff. TMNauctions.com. So, all right, guys. That was a long one. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, from me to you, Houday.